Ta'lim vazirligi, Yevropa Ittifoqi, O'zbekistondagi Yevropa Ittifoqi delegatsiyasi, O'zbekistondagi Yevropa Ittifoqiga a'zo davlatlarning elchixonalar vakillari va undan tashqari O'zbekiston Respublikasi Tashqi ishlar vazirligi, Sog'liqni saqlash vazirligi va boshqa qator tashkilotlar ishtirok etmoqda. Undan tashqari barcha respublikamizga, barcha oliy ta'lim muassasalaridagi xalqaro aloqalar bo'limini Erasmus Plus dasturida amalga oshirilayotgan
epizodni yozishim
kechirasiz, barcha ishtirokchilarga bitta murojaatimiz bo'ladi. Agarda imkoniyat bo'lsa, o'zingizdagi mikrofonlaringizni o'chirib qo'yishingizni so'rab qolamiz. Agarda kimdadir savol tug'iladigan bo'lsa, unda iltimos qo'lingizni ko'taring yoki bo'lmasam chat orqali bizga murojaat qilishingizni so'rab qolamiz. Va yana alohida ta'kidlab o'tishimiz kerakki, ishtirokchilarga qaytadigan bo'lsak, bugungi tadbirimizda ta'lim sifatini nazorat qilish davlat inspeksiyasi vakillari ham, undan tashqari oliy ta'lim bo'yicha ekspertlar milliy guruhi, ya'ni shu National Team of Heroes deymiz, ular ishtirok etishmoqda. Demak, mana bugungi kun tartibini ko'rib turganingizdek, Oliy ta'lim vazirligi vazir o'rinbosari Murodilla Mahmudovich ishtirok etadilar va O'zbekistondagi Yevropa Ittifoqi delegatsiyasi rahbari elchi Charlotte Edren xonim ishtirok etadilar va Bryusseldan bir nechta spikerlar taklif qilingan. Demak, ular ketma-ket shu dastur haqidagi ma'lumotlarni va yangi yo'nalish Erasmus Mundus bo'yicha ma'lumotlarni taqdim etishadi. Shuningdek, janmane bo'yicha alohida taqdimot taqdim etiladi. Demak, hozir aytib o'tmoqchidimki, ayni paytda YouTube kanalimiz orqali ham to'g'ridan-to'g'ri efir uzatilmoqda. Hozirda men so'z navbatini Erasmus Plus milliy ofis koordinatori Abdurahmanova Aziza Karimovnaga bermoqchidim. Marhamat, Aziza Karimovna.
Assalomu alaykum. Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli Murodilla Mahmudovich, Your Excellency, Your Ambassador. Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. Welcome to Erasmus launch event for Uzbekistan higher education community. It's not for the first time that we are organizing presenting you the new Erasmus Plus program for 2021-2027. We had already organized a number of sessions about the specific actions to be covered and novelties of the program. I would like to remind you that again, Gula has already said that information day will be recorded. At the moment, it is broadcasted on our YouTube channel. So the key information that you obtain today will be and can be broadly shared. The new Erasmus Plus program has been launched on 25th of March. And on the 2nd of April, we organized an information session on actions which are open for the universities of Uzbekistan. The aim is today is to give the floor to our colleagues, to the Erasmus Plus program management in Brussels. We would like for this session to be interactive as much as possible. So please post your questions, your comments in the chat box. We will do our best to answer the questions today or later through our social networks. We are aware of great demand on specific sessions about the project proposal development. So we have already planned some activities to help you with the preparation of project proposals. On behalf of the National Erasmus Plus Office and today's participants, I would like to thank the representative of the European Commission and Executive Agency, Adrian, Gesland, and Victoria, for their commitment to contribute to Information Day in Uzbekistan. Our special thanks go to the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education and EU delegation to Uzbekistan for their continued support. We are very pleased to see today the EU member states embassies in Tashkent, our sectoral ministries, profile ministries, and all higher education stakeholders. Thank you.
Просто через ссылку.
Aziza Karimna, katta rahmat sizga taqdim etgan ma'lumotlaringiz uchun. Demak, navbatdagi so'zni biz O'zbekiston Respublikasi Oliy va o'rta maxsus ta'lim vazirining o'rinbosari Muradolla Mahmudovichga beramiz. Marhamat, Muradolla Mahmudovich.
Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli xonimlar va janoblar. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Shu imkoniyatdan foydalanib, men alohida hurmatli Charlotte Endren elchi janob oliylariga, Toshkent shahrida joylashgan Yevropa Ittifoqi elchixonasi vakillariga, Erasmus Plus milliy ofisi va barcha shu anjuman qatnashchilariga o'zimni iliq salomlarimni yo'llab qolaman. Endi avvalambor bir narsani ta'kidlab o'tishimiz lozim. Yevropa Ittifoqining Tempus va Erasmus Plus dasturlari doirasida amalga oshirilgan va hozirda ham davom etayotgan loyihalar yurtimizdagi oliy ta'lim sohasidagi modernizatsiya jarayoniga salmoqli hissa qo'shib kelmoqda. Oxirgi yillardagi mazkur loyihalar demak Yevropa Ittifoqining oliy ta'lim muassasalari bilan hamkorlikni amalga oshirish sohasini ancha takomillashtirildi. Bu bo'ylab ko'plab bizlarga takliflar va tavsiya qilingan. Aziza Karimnaga ham u milliy ofis rahbari sifatida asosli bir minnatdorchiligimizni bildiramiz. Endi bugungi kunda O'zbekistonda nima o'zgardi degan savolga javob beramizda va Erasmus Plusning keyingi qadamlari, keyingi sharofati nimadan iborat bo'lishi kerak degan o'ta muhim savol turibdi bizlarning oldimizda. Chunki bu Erasmus Plus o'ylaymanki, bu yangi O'zbekistondagi, yangi oliy ta'limdagi qilinayotgan, amalga oshirilayotgan islohotlarni jadallashtirishga, ularni chuqurlashtirishga bevosita xizmat qiladigan bir manba deb biz oliy ta'lim vazirligi shunga qaraymiz. Endi hozir demak oxirgi yillarda qilingan oliy ta'lim tizimini rivojlantirish bo'yicha amaliy ishlar bu Yevropa Ittifoqining qator universitetlarining filiallarini ochilishi va hamkorlikni yanada kengayishi, umuman O'zbekistondagi xalqaro hamjamiyat bilan integratsiyasi, xalqaro oliy ta'lim atmosferasiga jadallik bilan kirib borishi albatta bu ta'lim dasturlarining modernizatsiyasini talab qiladi. Ta'lim dasturlarining modernizatsiyasi bu albatta birinchi navbatda o'sha bugungi kunda O'zbekistonda joriy qilinish boshlangan kredit model tizimi bilan cheklanib qolishdan emas, asosan ta'limni sifatini va samaradorligini ta'minlaydigan learning outcomes, competence based learning tizimlarini ham sekin bosqichma-bosqich oliy ta'lim dasturlariga joriy qilib borsa agar, demak biz erishgan maqsadlarimizga mo'ljallagan bo'lamiz. Endi bugungi kunda eng asosiysi xorijiy universitetlarning kirib kelishi, ayniqsa Yevropa davlatlaridagi oliy ta'lim muassasalarining filiallarining ochilishi, O'zbekistondagi ta'lim bozoriga kirib kelishi, O'zbekistondagi oliy ta'limda raqobat muhitini shakllantirdi. Bu eng birinchi ijobiy natijalardan biri. Endi oliy ta'lim, mahalliy oliy ta'lim muassasalarimiz, ayniqsa davlat oliy ta'lim muassasalarimizning oldida bu raqobatga turib berish degan vazifa turibdiki, bu albatta Yevropa Ittifoqining bevosita bizlarni oliy ta'limdagi bo'layotgan islohotlarni qo'llab-quvvatlovchi ayniqsa Erasmus Plus milliy ofisi va Yevropa Ittifoqining bevosita ko'magi asosida biz shundan umid qilib turibmiz. Endi hozir bugungi anjuman o'ylaymanki, bu yangi islohotlarning bir debochasi bo'ladi. Chunki bu oliy ta'limni har holda xalqaro andozalar, xalqaro standartlar bilan integratsiya qilinishi, ayniqsa ta'lim dasturlarining modernizatsiya qilinishi, talabalarni baholashning bir xalqaro tizimlarini kiritishi degan bir zaif nuqtalarimizni to'ldirishga biz imminni atayin shu amaliy ko'nikmalarni shakllantirish bo'yicha vazifalarni o'zimizga belgilab turibmiz. Bu o'z navbatida bizda ta'lim sifatini oshirishga hissa qo'shadi. Xalqaro ta'lim dasturlari, xalqaro ta'lim hamjamiyati bilan integratsiya qilish imkoniyatini beradi. Bizlarni bergan ta'lim natijalarimiz, diplomlarimiz, malakalarimiz, kvalifikatsiyalarimiz xalqaro tan olishga erishishga asos bo'ladi. Bu bo'yicha albatta bizga ta'lim dasturini modernizatsiya qilish bo'yicha ekspertlarni jalb qilishga katta bir manba bo'lib xizmat qiladi. Xorijiy o'qituvchilarimizni, professor o'qituvchilarni taklif qilib, ularning ma'ruzalarini eshitish imkoniyatini beradi va o'qituvchilarni almashuvi, talabalar almashuvi va bu bo'yicha umuman jamul-jam bo'lib, barchasi oliy ta'limda sifat, samaradorlik, natijadorlik degan bir ko'rsatkichlarni yuqorilashiga xizmat qiladi degan umiddamiz. Shu masalalar bizlarga Erasmus Plus dasturining loyihalarining juda katta aktualligini belgilaydi, juda katta ahamiyatga ega bo'lganini belgilaydi va o'ylaymanki, hozirgi bugungi boshlangan yangi ishlarimiz, yangi qadamlarimiz umuman O'zbekiston va Yevropa Ittifoqi o'rtasidagi hamjamoatlikni, hamjihatlikni, do'stlikni bir yaxshi bir bog'lovchi, bir yaxshi bir rishta bo'ladi deb umid qilaman. E'tiborlar uchun rahmat. Bugungi kunga hammaga xayrli, saodatli bo'lishini tilab qolaman.
Katta rahmat Murodjon Mahmudovich. Albatta siz aytib o'tgan muhim jihatlarni oliy ta'lim muassasalarimiz tomonidan qabul qilinadi va shu turli xil loyihalarda ishtirok etib o'zlarini oliy ta'lim muassasalarini rivojlantirishga qaratilgan o'sha o'z hissalarini qo'shishga harakat qilishadi deb umid qilamiz. Katta rahmat. Demak, navbatdagi so'zni O'zbekistondagi Yevropa Ittifoqi delegatsiyasi rahbari elchi Charlotta Adrian xonimga beramiz. Marhamat.
Thank you very much, Aziza. Assalamu alaikum, hurmatli do'stlar. I hope this is the right way to say it, but definitely Your Excellency Deputy Minister Dila Kolmuhamedov and dear esteemed academics, dear ladies and gentlemen, colleagues also. I understand that member states are with us today, and this is very important. I'd like to, of course, colleagues from Brussels as well. We are very happy that they have the opportunity to be here today. It's unfortunate, of course, with COVID that we cannot meet, but the advantage is that we have the opportunity to have our colleagues from both DG, the Director General of the Commission Education, Director General, but also the agency, executive agency. I'd like to welcome you all today. And this is an important day for us because this is obviously with the support from Brussels, the opportunity for us to present the new opportunities with Erasmus. Let me maybe say that this is also for me an extremely important day because in fact what we are doing today, talking about education and opportunities for the future, is really in line with our EU Central Asian strategy. Now, in fact, in our EU and Central Asian strategy, education is seen as a way for the countries in Central Asia to be resilient, but also to, in fact, go towards prosperity. We know that human capital is the most important thing that we have. We may have mines, we may have gas, but in fact, the most important is that we have a skilled workforce, that we have the human capital, which is striving and which is also, in fact, skilled, so that it gives us the opportunity to go towards sustainable development. So just for me, again, to say that the important part of the meeting today is really to launch, in fact, the new program for the next 7 years. It's the importance is also maybe shown by the increase in the budget. We are nearly, in fact, doubling the budget that we have for Erasmus Plus, which is going from 14.7 billion to 26.2 billion euros for the whole program. But this is not the only thing. the most important is the significance that we're showing with the different tools that we will have within Erasmus Plus, trying to reach both the universities, but definitely also supporting the universities, as was said also by the Deputy Minister, the importance of partnerships between universities and partnerships between students and the more. So this maybe just to say also that I believe that this is completely in line also with the strategies of Uzbekistan. We know that this year is the Science, Education and Digital Year, and I congratulate and commend Uzbekistan for having decided to do such a year, because we know how important education is, how important science is, and in fact also how important digital can be in the future. Again, this is completely in line with the EU, the new EU Commission's strategies, both in the digital and in fact both in digital and green, but also definitely working on the capacities of people. I also commend, in fact, Uzbekistan for having ambitious reforms, an ambition reform agenda, ambitious objectives for the future. And I think this is exactly what is needed. We need to push ourselves, in fact, to go to reform the systems. And this is an ambitious agenda. And in fact, Erasmus definitely can also be a support for this. Maybe just to say that for the EU delegation here in Bishkek, in the our next multi-annual indicative program, though education is not a specific focal sector, it's obvious that education will be part of the overall endeavors for our common partnership with Uzbekistan. Just to highlight also what I've seen and what I know that you will be also informed about in terms of the study which was done, and that is important to have national impact studies, that in fact there is the understanding of what Erasmus has done and what can do also, going from a 10% Erasmus being a sort of a red thread going through impact of projects on the reform and modernization until from 1994 to 2015, and then continuing with introducing and disseminating results of the changes into the higher education system. And then, in fact, now really looking at innovation and looking at how all this work can, in fact, increase innovation rates and competitiveness of the national higher education. Deputy Minister talked about quality. In fact, in education, we often in the beginning in EU were not EU only, but also development partners were looking a lot about the quantity, but it's really now really to go through to quality is really important. What I also see is that Uzbekistan has had a very good absorption capacity within the previous Erasmus calls, and that is really important for us. And we hope definitely that this will also be the case in the future. This is why such an information day as today is important. And for this, I would like to thank the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education for the efforts and for the in fact ensuring the efficient implementation of the ongoing, of course, programs, but also for ensuring that there will be good projects for the future. And then I would definitely also like to thank Aziza for the constant support and regular meetings, which are really important for making this a success. And of course, our member states who are also having their own bilateral programs, which definitely are complementing also Erasmus Plus. And I think this is also in the future. We'd like to see this also as a Team Europe initiative. In fact, using the synergies that we can have from both Erasmus programs and definitely also including our member states into our activities in the future. Finally, just one point, which is that I wanted to also raise the attention of all partners that we have currently an EU campaign for youth, because this is for youth. We all know this is Erasmus is for making the youth having the skills for the future workforce, future work market. We have currently an application process for something which is called the Youth Sounding Board, which will be composed of 25 young people from 18 to 30 years from all over the world. And we are encouraging now, in all our delegations, we are encouraging now the countries and the youth in particular to participate and to come forward. So I would like to also have the opportunity to do this. This is also our, let's say, we are convinced, in fact, EU, that we need to work much more with youth, because also, as you know, this is why we're working. Youth is the future, and we would like to also hear what they say about that, what they have to say about sustainable development and how we can also improve the way we work and the way we work together, in fact, in the future. With this, I would really like to thank you all for your attention, and I wish you a very successful launching of the Erasmus Plus Information Day, and I'm looking also forward to listen to the presentations and, of course, the interactive, let's say, if there are questions. And so with this, I would like to thank you again. Kata Ahmad.
Katta rahmat, Charlotte xonim. O'z nutqingiz uchun biz uchun juda muhim, albatta har bir taqdim etilgan ma'lumotlar. Demak, navbatdagi so'zni biz Yevropa komissiyasining Yoshlar, sport va madaniyat bosh direktorati Osiyo davlatlar siyosat bo'yicha mas'ul xodimi Adrian Billga janobga beramiz. Ular o'zlarini taqdimotlarida Erasmus Plus dasturining 2021-2027 yil yangi loyihalari haqidagi ma'lumotlarni taqdim etadilar. Va shu yerda aytib o'tmoqchi edimki, mana shu taqdimotdan so'ng agarda dastur haqida umumiy savollaringiz bo'ladigan bo'lsa, taqdimotdan so'ng savollaringizni berishingiz mumkin bo'ladi. Va YouTube orqali tomosha qilayotgan, kuzatib borayotgan vakillar ham o'zlarining savollarini YouTube orqali qoldirishlari mumkin va ularga ham javob berish imkoniyati bo'ladi. Marhamat, so'z navbati sizga, Adrian janoblari, marhamat.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, colleagues in the NEO for organizing this event. Thank you also to the ministry, to our delegation colleagues who work so very hard on promoting the program. And welcome to the universities, the Uzbek universities who are joining us for this information day. Let me just share a screen to back up my presentation. Okay, as the speakers up to now have pointed out, this is an important time for Erasmus Plus. We are launching a new phase of the program. This phase runs from 2021 to 2027, and it builds on the success of the previous phase, which had a very strong international dimension. So Erasmus grew from its beginnings as a program for student mobility inside Europe, gradually to include other types of exchange, other types of cooperation, and cooperation with other parts of the world. And that's the important dimension that we're going to talk about today. It's a program that supports a range of things. It's a very wide program that supports education, training, youth, and sport. Today, we're going to focus on the higher education opportunities. And these opportunities come in the form of programs, projects, and scholarships or grants for mobility for students and staff.
Excuse me, Adrian. Could
Yes.
you please make the full screen of your the presentation mode of the PowerPoint?
Развитие общества, там и политики, экономики, менталитета и других факторов.
Then I'm going to have to do it a different way. Just a second. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay. This new program builds on the previous program. And today's message is really to look at the continuity of the program. We have decided, we have analyzed, we have assessed the previous phase of the program and decided that these are the right types of opportunity to fund under Erasmus+. This international dimension you'll see is based on partnerships between European institutions on the one hand and institutions in other parts of the world on the other. So we talk about program countries in Europe, it's the EU plus a few other countries, and partner countries worldwide. So Uzbekistan, the rest of the Central Asian republics, and indeed the rest of the world. And this is the basis that I'd like you to think about when you are hearing about the different opportunities today. This is about partnership between Uzbekistan and Europe. These are projects which are focused on the higher education sector. But we also see these the higher education sector as a channel, if you like, for bringing people closer together, improving understanding between Europe and Uzbekistan, and of using the projects as a catalyst, if you like, for further cooperation. So we're going to talk about primarily about two things today. You'll have my colleagues from the executive agency, Ghislaine and Victoria, will talk about Erasmus Mundus and the Jean Monnet activities. These are available from this year onwards. So we are launching these opportunities under the first call. It's just been published. And applications can start, well, as from this week, in fact. But what I'd also like to point out is that we are in a special year. We have launched a call at the end of March, but we will also have a second call at the end of this year. And then we will come into the regular annual cycle of calls for proposals, which are published in October with deadlines in February and selection in July. So this first call is for a number of reasons. We could only launch this first call later than the usual cycle. this first call has a short run-in period, and then the second call will come online at the end of this year, and that will include two big types of opportunities for Uzbekistan that you're probably familiar with. The student and staff exchange that we call international credit mobility. So based on partnerships of individual universities, an Uzbek university working with a French, a Swedish, a Portuguese university to exchange students and staff, and the capacity building projects for higher education. So these are bigger partnerships of universities from Central Asia or Uzbekistan alone on the one hand, and from different European countries on the other hand. Those four types of opportunities, I would like you to consider them as individual opportunities, but also to step back and look at these opportunities together as a sort of toolbox, if you like, that can help you as a university with your international strategy. This is really what's behind Erasmus Plus and its predecessors. It is about internationalization. It's about giving individuals a more international outlook by allowing them to visit another country, to experience another culture, to experience another academic system. And it's about institutions being able to cooperate and work together across borders. So this international aspect, learning from each other, is at the heart of Erasmus Plus. Opportunities for individuals, opportunities for institutions, and it can also be very closely linked to the process of reform and modernization of the education system. As the minister was saying earlier, this is it's an aspect that is exercising many universities, many ministries about how to adapt, how to improve, and how to place education at the center of a country's development and a country's economic and social development. So 4 types of activities. Think about these as you may be part of a faculty. Think about them from a faculty point of view, how these can help with your teaching, with your staff, the teaching opportunities and resources that they have available. Think of them also at more central level within your universities. Look at the way these opportunities can support your internationalization and your modernization strategy. And of course, the education administration can also look at these projects and their experience for the reform process. What I'd also say is that these are opportunities that are launched through calls for proposals. We are encouraging you today at today's event, and the National Erasmus Plus office, Aziza and her colleagues, are busy explaining how to apply and giving advice on how to put together a proposal. So they are very interesting opportunities for you to take part in. But I'd also say that another important aspect of Erasmus Plus is that the results of projects are made available to a wide range of stakeholders. If you are taking part in a project, this is something you will have to do. You will have to make the results, the impact of the project, the tools that you have developed, you will have to share those. And this is at the heart of the program, that the projects do not only benefit the partners, they also have a wider effect. So again, Aziza and colleagues, I think are busy sharing the results of existing projects, because they can inspire new projects, and they can benefit the higher education sector as a whole. So you'll hear more about Erasmus Mundus and Jean Monnet in the next part of the session today. And you'll hear more about international credit mobility and capacity building for higher education later in the year. But I would again emphasize that we are talking about continuity. So these are going to be very similar to the projects that we had in the previous program between 2014 and 2020. I said also that Erasmus is about bringing Europe closer together with other parts of the world. It started off as a project to get European countries to know each other and to link up with each other better. It's now expanded, and it's something which enables Europe to establish relations on a people-to-people level across the world. So it's important for you to know when you are considering taking part, it's important for you to know what Europe is working on, if you like. Your partners from Europe will be involved in the European agenda. And as Mrs. Adrian has said, in the European Union is spearheading its policy through 6 priorities. Very important for Europe in everything that we do in this new period, 2021 to 27, is the Green Deal. So preparing society, individuals, business for the green transition. This is a major priority. And you will find that your European partner universities are very much involved in this and will want to reflect this in their activities. The same for digital, promoting digital skills, ensuring that the digital landscape is fit for a Europe to reap the benefits of the digital age. And of course, digital is international by nature. So what we do in Europe will also interlink with other parts of the world. Then we have an economy that works for people. That really means skills, developing skills at all levels, at school, higher education, further education, adult education. And then a stronger Europe in the world. So all of these European priorities are reflected in our relations with other countries, including Erasmus+. Promoting our European way of life. This is also behind Erasmus+. We are helping Europe's young people to understand each other better. And that concept is reflected in what we do in our people-to-people projects under Erasmus+. And then a new push for European democracy. This is about the representation of people's views. These are the 6 priorities on which all EU policy will be based. When it comes to the education framework inside Europe, I'm going to mention these because, as I said, Europe is projecting an image of itself. And it will be projecting these priority policy issues that are governing the EU's approach to education. So in short, we have a strategic framework for education and training. You know that the European Union does not itself have an education policy. It works by aligning national policies and bringing country policies closer together, sharing good practice. This is the basis for the Bologna reform process, for example, and has been the basis for internationalization of education inside Europe. And that's a model that we think our partners in other parts of the world can work on too. Europe has just launched an ambitious plan to set up a European education area by 2030. And that is bringing together national, regional, local administrations to set up a common framework for education at all levels that's based on quality, inclusiveness. It's giving a very strong focus on teaching. Again, it's promoting the green skills and digital skills that we will need inside the education sector. And it gives a special place to higher education. So you'll find that Europe is going through, will be going through another round of analysis of what it needs to do to enable education to play its full role in society. This is also part of the European recovery plan. Obviously, we are still grappling with the problem of the COVID-19 pandemic, but we have in place a strategy for recovery, and that gives an important position to education and training. Education is also contributing to research and innovation. And we have a number of policy dialogues with different regions of the world. So these are the building blocks of European education policy, and these will be reflected in how your European partners are considering their own internationalization strategy. So it's a bit behind the reason for them getting involved in Erasmus+. Okay, a little recap. We're talking, you'll hear a bit about, you'll hear a lot about Erasmus Mundus and Jean Monnet. These are the two opportunities that are open in this current call. So as an Uzbek institution, you can apply to both measures, Erasmus Plus and to Jean Monnet. For Erasmus Plus, this is a new change, a new element in the program. Applications had to come from European universities, from program countries. Under the new program, the initiative can come from an Uzbek university or from another partner country. Jean Monnet is the same. You can apply to the Jean Monnet program as an individual project. So these are individual projects, not based on partnerships. In grey, you can see the other opportunities that are set to come online in October, later this year. And that's the same as before. So you can take part in exchange programs, international credit mobility, as a partner institution. And you can apply or be a partner in a capacity building project. So those the same rules apply as in the past. So my colleagues will say a little bit about deadlines, and you have more information. I think my presentation will be shared about the detail of the program guide, and more information about the call for proposals on the website, and that will take you to the agency's portal for applications. But more from that from Ghislaine and from Victoria in the second part of today's presentation. So I'm going to stop there with the general introduction. Again, to recap, look at Erasmus Plus as a range of opportunities that can support your own internationalization strategy. Look at the experience of the program to date. So look at what the previous projects have done. This could be inspiration. This could be what you need to start up your own programs, or they could be the catalyst for you putting together your own project in this year's call or next year's call. So that's where I'll stop, and I wish you every success with the rest of the meeting today.
Katta rahmat, taqdimotchiga o'z minnatdorchiligimizni bildirib qolamiz. Hammangiz mana eshitdingiz qanday Erasmus dasturining ushbu tanlovda qanday yangiliklari bor va qaysi yo'nalishlar bo'yicha loyihalar takliflarini topshirish mumkin va qaysi yo'nalishlar bo'yicha loyiha takliflarini keyingi tanlovda topshirish imkoniyatlari mavjudligini bilib oldingiz. Demak, agarda ishtirokchilarimizda savollar bo'ladigan bo'lsa, ya'ni shu Erasmus dasturiga oid bo'lgan umumiy savollar bo'ladigan bo'lsa, savollaringizni chat orqali berishingiz mumkin yoki qo'lingizni ko'tarishingiz mumkin. Va kun tartibida ko'rsatilganidek, Erasmus Mundus va Jamariof yo'nalishlari bo'yicha batafsil ma'lumotlar berib o'tiladi va o'sha yo'nalishlarga oid bo'lgan savollaringizni sessiya so'ngida taqdimotlarni eshitib bo'lgandan so'ng savollaringizga javoblar olishingiz mumkin bo'ladi. Demak, ko'rinib turibdiki, barcha ishtirokchilarga ma'lumotlar tushunarli. Demak, savollar mavjud emas. Navbatdagi taqdimotchiga o'tamiz. Demak, navbatdagi taqdimotchi O'zbekistondagi Erasmus Plus milliy ofisi koordinatori Abdurahmanova Aziza Karimovnaga beramiz. Ular Erasmus dasturining O'zbekistondagi ta'siri, ya'ni loyihalarni qanday amalga oshirayotganligi, statistik ma'lumotlar va shunga o'xshash ma'lumotlarni taqdim etadilar. Marhamat, Aziza Karimovna.
Assalomu alaykum. I will continue in English in order to save the time. Now it's my great pleasure to share with you the results of consolidated efforts of the National Erasmus Plus office in Uzbekistan and higher education reform experts who conducted the national impact study on Erasmus Plus projects. But before, I would like to thank again the Muradullah Mahmudovich and the EU ambassador and Adrian for their valuable support and very relevant points concerning the past Erasmus Plus project and the new program that we are going to apply. And I hope very much that now my brief presentation about the study will encourage you to explore new areas of education to be covered by new projects. I hope also that by the end of my presentation, you will be encouraged to read carefully the report, which has been published on our website. And actually, the initiative on the development of national impact study and impact study of capacity building projects on individual higher education and higher education level, system level, and institutional level was undertaken by the executive agency in the middle of the last year. The impact study was realized for the last 2 months of November, December 2020. Very, very briefly about some statistics and what has been covered by the report. We have actually in the framework of Erasmus Plus that in total 43 projects have been financed for Uzbekistan, including 12 national projects, 20 regional, so jointly with our neighboring countries, and also cross-regional project helped the Uzbek universities to open cooperation not only with the neighbors but with the other regions of the world. Now it's important to note that from the early beginning of Erasmus Plus in 2014, the higher education institutions of Uzbekistan have been actively participated in the program. And we considered Erasmus Plus program for the last phase as a good follow-up of the successful 20 years partnership within the Tempus program in Uzbekistan. Thanks to even the wide range cooperation opportunity provided by Erasmus Plus for 2014-2020, the University of Uzbekistan could greatly enrich their experience of the cooperation with the European universities, neighboring countries, and improve their international ranking and recognition. Capacity building, capacity building project I expected to have a long-term structural impact on the systems, on the institutions, and on individuals. This definition was used by the team of the impact study, again consisted of the National Erasmus Plus Office and higher education reform experts in order to undertake this study. Taking this opportunity, I would like to thank all respondents, all students, teachers, program stakeholders who contributed, who participated in this important exercise for us. Some information about statistics. So in total, 43 projects have been financed with a total budget 36.6 million euro, involving the Uzbekistan universities, and specifically 11.5 million euro was allocated for participation of the University of Uzbekistan and non-academic partner organizations. I would like again come back to the goals of the impact study. So during this exercise, we have considered not only the capacity building, the impact of capacity building projects, but also the last phase of Tempus 4 projects and ICM projects. We look at the sustainability of the results. We look at the indirect and long-term impact at 3 levels. And all this study helped us also to highlight the main problems, challenges, and recommendations have been developed considering the challenges shared by our respondents and the study participants. Actually, the report itself consists of 2 parts. The first part has been already published, as I told you, and it presents the qualitative and quantitative analysis of capacity building, tempos, and ICM projects in Uzbekistan. It also provides you with the information of examples of respective Erasmus Plus capacity building projects. In this first part of the report, you can find the findings, challenges, and recommendations. The second part of the report will be published by the end of this month because we need to get an approval of the publication. The second part presents the analytical papers developed by higher education reform experts. They focused on specific structural reforms in the country. So you will find the paper related to public and governance economics reforms, the reforms in the field of higher education, written by the rector of the Tashkent University of Oriental Studies. You can read the science and innovations part written by team leader Professor Marat Alimovich Rahmatullayev. Agriculture and healthcare sectors are also properly described by these papers. So now very briefly about the methodology. The research methodology that the team has developed actually based on 4 approaches. First of all, we started with the desk research, and desk research was based on 50 field monitorings which have been undertaken, carried out by the National Erasmus Plus Office since 2015. Results of 4 institutional monitoring with engagement of external experts from Belarus were also considered. So why we decided to consider the institutional monitorings, and 2 institutional monitorings have been undertaken in November, December last year, to the National University of Uzbekistan, to Urgench State University, and we also considered the past institutional monitoring to Samarkand Institute of Veterinary Medicine and the Tashkent University of Information Technologies. We also used the self-reports of the local team. Fortunately, our work, our activities were coincided with the important events that the National Erasmus Plus Office hosted last year. It was a regional cluster meeting. It was unfortunately also organized online on project impact in Central Asia. We had around 350 participants joined us online for these lively discussions during 2 days on 19th and 20th of November. We also considered the regional report for Central Asia, which has been developed and published by the executive agency last year, presenting the results and impact of the first generation of projects of 2015 year. So the old generation financed for Central Asia, including 11 projects financed for Uzbekistan. So you can also download this publication from executive agency website or from our website, from the part related to publications. The next very important exercise of our methodology was related to online survey. Sorry, coming back, I missed the individual structural in-depth interviews. This was one of the parts which helped us to look and to consider the impact of the projects at the national level. We managed to have 11 experts and from representative of stakeholders and focal points from the ministries and agencies. We have also national coordinators from capacity building projects with the long-term experience, not only within Erasmus, but with the Tempus as well. And we also considered that they coordinated a number of proven quality of successful Tempus and Erasmus Plus coordinators. So you can find the diagram with the leaders of Erasmus Plus and Tempus in Uzbekistan. The next exercise was the online survey. We carried out it through Google Forms. We're really grateful for the support of the ministry. They helped us to disseminate and encourage the universities to participate in this online survey. The links to this survey with the 3 blocks and 40 questions in different aspects of Erasmus Plus projects have been communicated to universities, to higher education stakeholders. Initially, we planned to have at least to collect answers at least from the 100 people, but by the end we realized 118 people responded to our questionnaires, which provided a sound basis for our analysis later on. Focus groups was the last approach that has proved very effective in the national impact study. The focus group helped us to analyze, to verify the results of the online survey data obtained. We looked. We discussed within the focus groups, we discussed not only the long-term impact of the project, but also the respondents, focus group participants, they shared the challenges they faced and the difficulties that they encountered during the project implementation. Also, they shared some recommendations. So we managed to have 4 groups. The first group is presenting the structural projects. The second group, we invited the project and coordinators from engineering and ICT related projects. The healthcare projects also are the biggest number of projects within the Erasmus Plus. And we were very grateful for the active participation of student participants who've been involved in ICM and capacity building projects. Now I'm coming to the key point of my presentation, and I would like to share with you the findings about Erasmus Plus project impact at the national level. And again, I would like to remind you that in the report itself, you will find impact, challenges, and recommendations described at 3 levels: at national, at institutional, at individuals. Now, having limited time today, I would like to share with you only the impact of Erasmus Plus at the national level. So most of the national impact study participants, they noted the systemic, structural, the overall impact of Tempus and Erasmus Plus project on the development and modernization of higher education of Uzbekistan, especially regards to internationalization and opening the new development of new innovative areas of education. The relevance of Erasmus Plus program, its wide range of activities, opportunities for long-term cooperation are aligned with the goals of the concept for higher education development till 2030. We also would like to note that the project teams, the project participants, the higher education reform experts, they contributed to development of the concept, and as well as to the new laws on education, on innovations, on science. And it's widely recognized by relevant ministries and higher education stakeholders. And I would like to repeat again that Tempus and Erasmus Plus capacity building actions, they constructing the basis for the intensive higher education reforms in Uzbekistan. The new master degree programs, thanks to Erasmus Plus capacity building projects, a number of completely new, innovative master programs have been developed. You see from diagram that majority, 30 out of 43 projects financed for Uzbekistan, they were curricular development projects, and they were aimed on development of new or modernization of the existing curricula. They have different topics on engineering, agriculture, health, and IT, and contributed extensively to ongoing wider recognition, introduction of ECTS. I would like to underline that Erasmus Plus provided a significant support to the national target to completely switch to ECTS in all universities of Uzbekistan by 2030. And the project participants and the experts, they've been involved also in the strategic working group on ECTS established by the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education. Sorry. The next point that the Erasmus Plus project contributed and provided assistance to development of national education quality assurance systems. About 96 participants and respondents, they agreed with the statement about the significant impact of Erasmus Plus on introduction of new methods of quality management in education. New approaches and attitudes to quality assurance were introduced at the policy making level. And some projects provided some assistance to the development of a so-called National Quality Assurance Agency. It's the State Inspectorate for Supervision of Quality of Education Quality under the Cabinet of Ministers of the Republic of Uzbekistan, because their representative, their staff members were actively involved and participated directly in the Erasmus Plus projects. I would like to refer to the next point and to underline that the Erasmus Plus project, and specifically IMEC project, contributed to the development of system of continuous professional development in Uzbekistan. And the ministry was directly involved in this project and contributed to the sustainability of the project results. The ministry initiative, and all universities know about this, on creation joint international faculties and master degree programs in Uzbekistan, was supported by Tempus and Erasmus Plus projects. Actually, our projects, they served as a good foundation for development of joint curricula with the European partners. And they were very great help of opening the branches of the recognized universities and international universities, creating joint departments, programs, teaching subject in English, thanks to the experience in Erasmus Plus and in Tempus in the past. I would like also to underline that Erasmus helped, and the advanced teaching methodologies introduced by projects, educational platforms established, the access provided to educational resources of the European universities greatly supported our universities to transition to the entire online format in the context of the pandemic last year. Virtual mobility and combined mobility allowed the personnel of our universities to continue professional development, to participate in joint publication, to continue joint research, staying at home. Again, with the thanks to respondents, to the exercise participants who shared with us the difficulties, the challenges they encountered during the project implementation, just few 3 points to be shared with you. Updating of the national priorities. Actually, the opinion leaders from the ministries and agencies, they noted that national priorities for capacity building projects should be updated more often, considering the speed of reforms and modernization process in all areas of the national economy of Uzbekistan. In this regard, the experts express the hope that national and regional priorities will be agreed more often than once 4 years. Or the recent significant reforms can be considered or can be taken into account during a consultation process on the shortlisted capacity building projects. The next difficulty this is faced by our project was the change of national coordinator, mainly because of the promotion, transfer to another job, and reorganization of the universities that, for example, the Samarkand Veterinary Medicine Institute faced. Another problem was the lack of influence and lobbying by project team towards the sectoral ministries, to the line ministries and agencies. In some cases, it was difficult to ensure systemic impact, or it was the impact was delayed. That's why you will find the relevant recommendation in the next slide. In the course of the national impact study, we obtained a lot of opinions about challenges and difficulties. But all these problems shared by project participants, they were mitigated by the results and the impact of the program on their individual professional development, as well as building the capacity of faculties, departments, the universities, and the profile universities. And recommendations. Again, I'm sharing with you only those related to the national level. Support the efforts of the project teams on ensuring impact of project outcomes. We would like to consider, and the project participants underline, relevance to the development strategy of Republic of Uzbekistan until 2030, and also in particular strategy for Uzbekistan to enter top 50 countries in the innovation index until 2030. Specifically, support the task enabling at least 10 universities of Uzbekistan to enter international rankings in terms of quality of education and scientific research. Experts, you can find the recommendation of experts that more opportunities for autonomy and independence of universities should be provided, which are an additional breakthrough in the internationalization of all education, higher education system. Considering the fact that the State Inspectorate for Supervision of the Quality of Education under the Cabinet of Ministers of Uzbekistan has become an observer in European Association for Quality Assurance in Higher Education, ENCA. It's recommended by experts to harmonize national quality indicators with ESG, with the European guidelines and standards. And specifically when assessing the master degree programs, it would be nice to do it, to proceed it in accordance with the ESG guidelines and standards. The next recommendation is related that the project should be obliged to conduct regular dissemination activities, information events, promoting the project results with involvement of mass media. So again, the National Erasmus Plus Office and the National Team of Higher Education Reform Experts in your disposal for dissemination and information activities. The next recommendation has been also developed by the authors of the impact study with the aim to enable a regular exchange of practical, theoretical knowledge with the best practice and the recommendation how to make the project, to realize the project in more efficient way. It was recommended to create an association of Erasmus project coordinators and managers. The next recommendation was related to actively promotion project outcome in professional communities. And there is a direct reference to experience of Bukhara and Samarkand universities, which have managed to establish good working relations with the local communities, with the local authorities, and they provide good sustainability of project results and support from the local authorities at regional level. Okay, thank you. And the last point, it's conclusion on mainly of the opinion leaders and experts and the authors of the impact study that Tempus program since 1994 greatly impacted the reform and modernization of higher education system in Uzbekistan and create a capacity building for higher education system. Thanks to widely extended cooperation opportunity from 2015, it further continues through introducing dissemination the results within the last phase of Erasmus Plus program. And now it comes to the point that the innovation rates, the competitiveness of the national higher education system will be greatly improved and enhanced thanks to assistance of the new Erasmus Plus program. I'm coming to the last slide of my presentation, and again I hope that my brief presentation encouraged you to read, to get acquainted with the whole report available on our website. And I would like again to tell you that we planned a specific session on project development proposals, on the development of project proposals. As well, such a comprehensive national impact study deserves more detailed information session. And with the support of the Ministry and EU delegation, we are planning to organize an information session with the discussions of all recommendations, findings, and conclusions presented by this report. Thank you very much for your attention.
Aziza Karimna, taqdim etilgan ma'lumot uchun katta rahmat. Albatta ishtirokchilar uchun individual, institutsional, umuman shu oliy ta'lim tizimida olib borilayotgan ma'lumotlar, statistik ma'lumotlar, Erasmus dasturining ta'sirini tahlil qilingan hisobot juda ham qiziqarli bo'ldi deb umid qilamiz. Navbatdagi so'zni biz birozdan keyin davom ettiramiz. Hozir biz tanaffus e'lon qilamiz, ya'ni coffee break. Soat 12:20 dan 12:30 gacha biz tanaffus e'lon qilamiz. Iltimos qilamizki, siz Zoom linkini o'chirmasdan, ya'ni shu mikrofonini o'chirgan holda qoldirib va 10 minutdan keyin siz bilan ko'rishishga taklif etib qolamiz. Katta rahmat. demak, bizda tanaffus o'z yakuniga yetdi. Ikkinchi qismini boshlasak ham bo'ladi. Demak, navbatdagi taqdimotni Yevropa ta'limi va madaniyat bo'yicha ijroiya agentligi ta'lim loyihalari mas'ul xodimi Ghislaine Craig xonimga beramiz. Ular o'zlarini taqdimotlarida Erasmus Mundus qo'shma dasturlari, Erasmus Mundus dasturlarini tayyorlash mavzulariga bag'ishlaydilar. Marhamat, Ghislaine Craig xonim.
Are you, do you hear me?
Yes, ha, eshityapmiz.
Are you waiting for me to present?
Shunday. Kun tartibi bo'yicha taqdimot navbati sizga berildi.
Hello, can you all hear me? Because I don't have any, I cannot speak Uzbekistan, but...
Ha, biz sizni eshityapmiz, lekin hali taqdimotingizni ko'rmayapmiz. Iltimos, taqdimotingizni demonstratsiya qilib chiqarsangiz ekranga.
Hi, Ghislaine, this is Fisun. Hello, Uzbekistan. Ghislaine, just I think there is a problem. I think this is the translator, Mrs. Gulia, I don't know, but Aziza is still missing, I think. I cannot hear her.
Oh, I can see Aziza.
Yeah, you can see, but the micro is off.
Yeah, Ghislaine, please
voilà.
check whether, good morning again, check
Good
whether
morning.
you have access to interpretation.
Okay, I have, I can see the interpreter. I can see everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me? I can start my presentation if you like. Yes?
Please go ahead.
Okay, I will share my screen. All right. Can you see it? Yes. Okay, good morning. First and foremost, thank you for the invitation for my colleague and myself to present the new programs, EMGM, Joint Masters, and Erasmus Mundus Design Measures under the Erasmus Plus program. We're project officers. We're working from the European Education and Culture Executive Agency. Erasmus Plus is a program of the European Union. It supports cooperative actions in education, training, youth, and sport. It awards grants to projects, enabling them to provide scholarships to students, teachers, staff, and institutions worldwide. We have some good news to share. Erasmus funding has, and for the next 7 years, has nearly doubled, total foreseen about 25 billion euros. Some actions like capacity building and credit mobility do not have a call this year, but they will reappear in 2022. Today we present two new programs, the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, which is actually the continuation of the current Erasmus Mundus Joint Master degree, but with some changes, and a totally new lot of program, Erasmus Mundus Design Measures. The Erasmus Mundus Design Measures is of importance and interesting for newcomers in the field, as it will provide financial support to help institutions from EU and non-EU countries in jointly developing a partnership to create new high-level excellence programs. More depth, we will present design measures in more depth later on in this presentation. So here we have what the Joint Master wants to provide now is more of everything that existed, actually. It wants to offer the future successful partnerships, less restrictions, more academic and mobility flexibility, simplification, more financial support, helping programs to become more sustainable, etc. Now, a glance at up the past. 17 years ago, we launched the Erasmus Mundus program, and to date in 2021, we contracted 535 master programs consisting of 610 different higher education institutions from 33 EU countries, offering, we have offered 24,500 scholarships to students worldwide, totaling a budget of 1.7 billion euro. The new program, the current running Erasmus Mundus Joint Master degrees is continued now with the Joint Master, but there is a big update. We have a new lot, Erasmus Mundus Design Measures. So we have two independent lots under Erasmus Mundus. Lot 1 to the left, the Joint Masters, EMGM, and the EMDM, the Design Measures. To situate our program, before we were under Key Action 1, Learning Mobility, but now our program is under Key Action 2, Cooperation for Innovation. So more stress on fostering excellence and worldwide internationalization of higher education institutions via study programs, and at master level, of course, which are jointly delivered and jointly recognized worldwide. The Key Action 2 supports partnerships for cooperation, innovation, and excellence. So to situate our program under Key Action 2, it's mostly, if you see in red, you can see the partnerships for excellence, and thereunder is Erasmus Mundus Action. So partnerships for excellence support projects with a long-term sustainability perspective. In brief, what is an Erasmus Mundus Joint Master? It's a high-level integrated and transnational study program. It's a program of excellence, and it's open to all disciplines. It's delivered by international consortium of higher education institutions from different countries worldwide and other educational or non-educational partners. They should offer high-level scholarships to excellent students worldwide. The main objectives: to support quality, innovation, internationalization of higher education institutions through academic cooperation within the European higher education area and even beyond, to increase quality and attractiveness, support EU external action in higher education, increase synergies between higher education, innovation, and research, improve competences, skills, and employability. And all important is to respond to societal and labor market needs. What are program and what are partner countries? Program countries are all the EU member states plus non-EU program countries. These are Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, the Republic of North Macedonia, Serbia, and Turkey, all considered as program countries. And all the rest of the countries, all other countries, are partner countries. Now, beside that terminology, there is some new terminology. So a new name. Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degrees becomes Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters. Under this, there are two independent lots. There's the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, and there's Erasmus Mundus Design Measures. The enrolled students, it's not only for scholarship holders, but you will see further on, also the non-scholarship holders are financially supported. The word intake becomes edition. A full master program cycle is either 120, 90, or 60 ECTS. This has not changed. The new financial instrument we have a new one, NDICI, which stands for Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument. Also, new terminology, heading 1 budget, for those who know, will become a heading 2. So this is straight under the Erasmus Plus program. And then heading 4, which is the external funding action, which becomes heading 6. Main requirements. What is expected? Well, expected is a jointly designed, fully integrated curriculum and common implementation, which are based on the procedures your procedures need to be based on the standards for quality assurance of joint programs in the European higher education area. So this means a joint selection, a joint setup of promotion mechanisms, common services offered to students, enrolled scholars and staff, joint administrative and financial management, etc. It has to be delivered by a proposed partnership consortium of at least 3 higher education institutions from 3 different countries. Of these 3 different countries, 2 must be program countries. International outreach organized to attract and enroll excellent students worldwide. The top of these, the best ranked of these students will benefit from a joint master's scholarship. The main requirements. Compulsory physical mobility of enrolled students, meaning that 2 study periods have to be performed in 2 countries. And of these 2 countries, 1 must be a program country. The minimum duration is 1 academic semester, or an equivalent of 30 ECTS. And these 2 study periods have to be different from the country where the student is resident of. So there needs to be a contribution of scholars and guest lectures to obtain added value for the program in teaching, training, and research activities. They have to be able to deliver a joint degree or a multiple degree. Joint degrees are recommended when national legislation or institutional legislation allows this. Please be reminded that at application stage, all proposals that must be fully developed joint study programs, they have to be ready to run and be advertised worldwide after their successful selection. How is it set up when you are successful? You will receive a fixed grant agreement which lasts 6 academic years. You have a commitment to enroll a certain number of students per project. You have to manage 4 master editions lasting between 1 and 2 academic years, an equivalent of 60, 90, or 120 ECTS. The start of the first edition must be no later than the academic year following the year of the project selection. As said before, at least 2 study periods need to be performed in 2 countries, of which one of them has to be a program country and different from the country of residence of the students. We maintain a geographical balance, meaning that no more than 10% of the total scholarship per project awarded to the students can be of the same nationality. So this is for the entire number of students. And this does not apply for the additional funding, so for the targeted regions. When you take part as an organization, who can take part? It's open to any public and private organization in program or partner countries. Applications can be submitted by any eligible program or partner country higher education institution. For the partner country higher education institutions, they need to have a valid European Erasmus charter. For partner country students, they cannot obtain this charter, but they have to commit to the charter principles, and this in the partnership agreement. So program and partnership country higher education institution must have a completed accreditation or evaluation of the master program. The minimum consortium needs to be 3 higher educations from 3 different countries, but 2 must be program countries. And then you can add on with full academic or non-academic partners, and optional, you can add associated partners. There is no maximum. Taking part as an organization. Here we have a small overview of some statistics I received about Uzbekistan. As you can see, over the years, and certainly the last 4 years, Uzbekistan has been involved as associated partners in successful Erasmus Mundus joint master degrees. For the students, taking part as an individual. It's open to students worldwide and who will apply directly to the programs. The applicants must have a first higher education degree or equivalent, must not have benefited previously from an Erasmus joint master scholarship. This is at this moment impossible because we are launching the first call. So all previously scholarship holders from the previous programs can obtain an EMGM scholarship. So the top rank can benefit from a scholarship depending on the number of scholarships that are available. So students apply directly to the consortium. When successful, the program will be incorporated into the catalog, which will be available online. Taking part as an individual, we have some statistics. We have some 84 scholarship winners over the last 6 years, and out of 11,800 approximate scholarships. So they are present in our projects. The funding rules, this is more the financial side. So we have a simplified EU grant. This EU grant consists of 2 main targets. To the left, we have the higher education institution. This is the institutional costs. These are all the costs to implement the program. To the left, we have the students. These are comprising the scholarships that are given to the students. And to top this off, there are the individual needs, which is an extra scholarship or financial aid for students with disabilities. More details of this, it's very detailed in the program guide that is now online. To give you an idea of the composition of where we've come from, everything to the left, this is how we compose the EMGMD grants for students. So you see that they're all different. Depending on travel was different for distance of which country you came from. Program country students did not get they only got travel costs, installation costs for per year. So at average between 1,300. And now we have set the scholarship at 1,400. And this comprises everything. So travel costs, subsistence, installation costs, and not only for partner country students, but for also EU students. Then in yellow, you see the participation cost and the management lump sum. It was all a bit complicated. We have also abundant this And we now give the consortium 750 per month per student to cover all the implementation costs that previously were participation costs. The disability, so special needs, is set between an added funding aid of 3,000 to 60,000 euros. Institutional costs, to go a little bit more in depth here. So the institutional costs are the implementation costs of the study program. So the unit cost per enrolled student is 750 euros per month. So in total, when you calculate this, this is 750 times the number of months. Let's say the duration is 24 months, which is a maximum, plus the number of enrolled students. The absolute maximum is 100 enrolled students. These are non-scholarship holders and scholarship holders, but you can commit to a higher number. But the maximum amount in the agreement for a successful project will be 1,800,000 euros. The student scholarship, so at student level, so a full scholarship that will cover subsistence, installation and travel, and the fee waiver. With this fee waiver, we mean that you cannot charge tuition fees or participation costs to students. It's already paid for, let's say. A single unit cost per scholarship holder. So here we calculate, again, 1,400 per month. So times, let's say, the maximum 24 months. So the maximum the students can obtain is 33,600 euros. For the project, in total, the maximum would come to 2,016,000 euros per grant. So we're already at, you have to always add the other costs. So we're at 3,816,000. To show you briefly, all the yellow and orange to the left is the previous program. And we would divide it up. So you would see 24,000 would be paid plus subsistence for program country students, travel. And then you would have, depending on travel, the division of the scholarships. Now it's easy. It's 1,400 times 24. The blue is the new scholarship, 33,600. Additional funding. Additional funding, this is response to EU external priorities. The EU financial instruments for this calls are two instruments. It's IPA. This is the instrument for pre-accession assistance, and the NDICI, which is new for the program, Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument. Contribution for additional scholarships. So these are for the targeted areas. IPA, the maximum you could request are 6 additional scholarships, and for NDICI, it would be 80, which is the maximum. So you could top up your grant with another 1,238,400 euros. The call for proposals, I'm happy to announce that it was opened yesterday, the 20th of April. The deadline is not far away, a little bit over a month, so 26th of May. Our total budget foreseen for this year is 98 million plus 24 million for heading 6, so the extra 2 funding, the extra funding for targeted regions. Number of successful projects that will be chosen is approximately 25. The number of scholarships is a maximum of 60, plus, as said before, 24 for additional scholarships for targeted regions. Now we are coming to another part. So, you're not ready, you can opt for a new lot. You can take part in the Erasmus Mundus design measure. What is the rationale behind the Erasmus Mundus design measure? Well, there was a certain need that they found that filling the gap of Erasmus Mundus action by supporting the development of new master programs. To diversify the offer of joint master programs and to encourage new academic cooperation by involving underrepresented Erasmus Plus program countries, institutions, and/or thematic areas. What is a design measure project? Well, it's a short duration grant to support institutions to set up a new joint master in Europe and beyond. One beneficiary will mobilize a group of higher education institutions aiming to set up an Erasmus Mundus joint master consortium. But be careful, this is an independent funding scheme, independent from Erasmus Mundus joint masters. How is it set up? So one beneficiary mobilizes the group. The duration of the design measures will last, when successful, for 15 months. The EU grant is a single lump sum contribution of 55,000 euros for all costs linked to activities needed to set up the new joint master program. What are the expected outcomes? What will you be working on? Well, working on to be able to deliver a joint program design and joint procedures, develop joint administrative and financial management, to offer common services to students, to be able to have a joint promotion and dissemination, to draft a joint partnership and a joint, not a joint, but to jointly also produce a draft student agreement, and then have a joint degree policy, and launching the accreditation or evaluation procedure. Plus, you can explore opportunities offered by the European approach for quality assurance of joint programs. But of course, only if national legislation allows it. The evaluation procedure, there will be a peer review by independent external experts. So 2 experts will assess each proposal in a one-step evaluation procedure. There is a threshold because proposals must score at least 60 points overall. In case of ex aequos, priority will be given to projects with higher scores for relevance and impact. The call is the same as for the EMGM. So it opened up yesterday and it will close on the 26th of May. The budget is approximately 2 million euro and an average of 36 projects will be chosen. How to apply? The funding opportunities and the information are announced on the European Commission's Funding and Tender Opportunities portal. Here is the link, the program guide. Link is here, and here are some extra links. So if you go on these links, and I hope they will work, you get all the necessary information But of course, you can always contact your national agency and also the agency, our agency, on our mailbox, which is also available here on this slide. I thank you very much for your attention, and I am willing to answer some questions.
Thank you again, Gislan, for your detailed presentation. We really appreciate it. With the reference to the opportunities available for the Uzbek universities. Unfortunately, your colleague from Jean Monnet did not manage yet to join us.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
You are here.
Yeah. I've been here all the time. Sorry.
You are Annette. We are looking for Victoria or Maria. Sorry. You are Annette Savoca. Are you?
No, Annette Savoca is our stagiaire. I'm Maria Victoria. I connected via.
Where are you? We could not see you, Maria.
Okay, no, but I'm there. Don't worry.
Okay, sorry. That's so. Actually, in case you are not here, we would like to propose for Gislan to answer the questions. But now we will follow the initially agreed approach. So we are collecting all questions in the chat box, and the questions will be communicated to you later after the presentation of Maria Victoria. And now I would like to thank again Gislan. To repeat your position, you are so we are very grateful for the representative of the Erasmus Mundus unit within the executive agency in Brussels. She presented us the cooperation opportunities, the Erasmus Mundus call for proposals, and Erasmus Mundus joint masters and design measures. Thank you, Gislan, again, and we will be grateful for your availability for the questions and answers session after the presentation of Maria Victoria. Good morning, Maria Victoria. Maria Victoria is the project manager responsible for Latin America, USA, Maghreb, Central Asia, Turkey, Italy at the executive agency. We we are really grateful to see you with us, and we are looking forward to listening to your presentation. Thank you. Please.
Good morning, Aziz. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry about the name appearing, which is actually our stagiaire, Annette Savoca, and I joined with her link because I couldn't find the link this morning, so apologies to that. So yes, I'm not Annette Savoca, I'm Maria Victoria Iturriaga, and thank you for the presentation. I don't want to run out of time, so I will start by sharing my screen. Should I have any technical problem, I will switch off my camera because my connection is not very stable, okay? Do you see my presentation?
Not, yes, please. Now it's okay.
Good morning. So now you see my correct name. Good morning from Brussels. So I'm going to be introducing to you the Germany activities in 2021. And I will start by making a short overview of what I'm going to be talking about. So I will speak about the Jean Monnet throughout the years very briefly. I will then go to speak about the Jean Monnet program under the Erasmus Plus call and the call 2021. I will briefly introduce you the new financial mechanisms. And then I will just give you a few tips as to how to present useful ways to present an application. And finally, a last part, very, very quick way to explain what do you need to do to apply in 2021, and what would be the roadmap. So this is the structure of the presentation. Let's then start. So Jean Monnet is a program which has already more than 30 years. The important thing to retain about Jean Monnet is that it's thematic based. So our thematic topic that runs across our actions is European integration studies. The objective is really to spread the knowledge about European integration studies processes in the world and across different disciplines. As I've said, we started operating in 1989, and we became international action for all countries in 2001. The program was dedicated to the memory of Jean Monnet, a father of the European Union. Under the last 7 years, we were integrated in the Erasmus Plus program, and the good news is that we will continue in the next programming period with the same name and under the same activities, more or less. Very, very important to know about Jean Monnet. We are a world network, and this is something that we need to, sorry, I'm going to remove this in case it disturbs. Excuse me, I go back. Okay. So we need to retain it that Jean Monnet is a network, and we are covering over 90 countries in the world, which is quite a lot. Maybe our presence is less visible in Africa, but all over the world we are more or less present. We have funded more than nearly 6,000 projects throughout the world. So it's quite a nice portfolio of projects managed for Jean Monnet over the last 30 years. Very important. Where are we in Jean Monnet with regard to the Erasmus Plus program? Well, as you know, there are three the three key actions, but Jean Monnet remains always as a separate, autonomous, independent program. And we have two types of activities being run now. One is the Jean Monnet actions in the field of higher education, and the other set of actions are called Jean Monnet actions in other fields of education and training. So we will go into the detail of this. Adrian Bill very nicely presented the priorities and the objectives of the Erasmus Plus program in 21-27. Therefore, I'm not going to go over it. The definition, as you see, covers all the sectors that we are covering under the Erasmus Plus program. And of course, when you are planning to apply, keep in mind always what the priorities are for the Erasmus Plus program. So when you're trying to present a project, keep these priorities in mind. Is always very, very useful. And Adrian will present it very nicely, so I'm not going to go over them. You have them in the screen. Let's go then to Jean Monnet directly. What is Jamariof offering in 2021? I just mentioned it. There are two types of actions. Those destined for higher education institutions, and these actions, which are modules, chairs, and centers of excellence, they can be for any country in the world. So any applicant coming from any place of the world can apply. Whereas the other set of actions, which are the other actions in the other fields of education and training, for these actions, you need to be a program country. So in the case of Uzbekistan, you will not be able to apply for teacher training or networks for schools and bed providers. So I will look very into this. I will not really explain this part because it does not apply for the Uzbek case. Let's very quickly look at the budget. Actually, when you look at the budget, as you can see, Jean Monnet represents a really, really marginal, tiny little fraction. But we always like to say in Jean Monnet that with very, very little money, we managed to achieve a lot. And it's the case if you look at the projects we've run successfully. So it's only 1.8% of the overall budget, but it is something with which we can do a lot. Let me show you what are the action types that we had before. Before we start talking about the future, let's talk about what we had before, so that we don't get confused about the different things, the different setup. So you can see that before we had three groups of actions. The actions that were supposed to promote teaching and research on European integration, the module chairs and centers of excellence. Then we had a second lot of actions which were supposed to promote policy debate and exchanges between academics and policymakers. These were the projects and networks. And we had a third action, which were the support to associations which were active in European integration studies. This is what we've had up to 2020. Now, what do we have coming up now? The graph shows a different picture. So on the left, you can see that the higher education institution actions remain. And I go back again to my previous slide, sorry. And you can see that this part, the policy debate and exchanges between academic policymakers, we are not offering it in the call right now. That does not mean that they disappear from Jean Monnet. We will probably offer them later in the next call. Now, as Adrian Bill explains to you, there's been a delay in the publication of the call this year for different reasons. So these actions, for the time being, we are not offering them. So we are going to be offering only these ones. With regard to the third leg, the support to associations, this will disappear. So we will not be supporting associations anymore. So let's go back to reality, which is here. And I will be explaining, obviously, only those actions which will be important for Uzbekistan, not the other, which don't apply to you. Let's look at Jean Monnet at the definition. When you want to speak about European integration studies, you need to know what you mean by them. So what do we intend? What do we mean by European integration studies? Well, they comprise the study of Europe in its entirety, with particular emphasis on the EU dimension from an internal, but also from a global perspective. We have to look in particular that we are trying to raise awareness of the European Union on certain items, on European citizenship and values, on the role of the EU in the globalized world, in facilitating future engagement, as well as people-to-people dialogue, also acting as a vector for public diplomacy in third countries, promoting EU values, and enhancing visibility of the European Union. And finally, this is very important, I always repeat it in my presentations, it is very important to remember the scope of EU studies must be included in the project. An EU angle has to be explored, whatever minimal it is, but there must be an EU angle in any application you present. Now, let's go to speak about the aims for this action that we are going to implement. Which are the aims of the higher education actions? First thing, it is to promote excellence in teaching and research in EU studies worldwide. To foster dialogue between academic world and society. This includes many actors, policymakers, civil servants, civil society, representatives of different levels of education. It could be the media, etc. We would like to generate knowledge and an insight to support EU policymaking and to strengthen the role of the European Union within Europe and throughout the world and towards the world. We would also like to reach a wider public, not the usual academia, of course, also, but also, and the specialist audiences, but also bringing EU knowledge closer to other publics, and in particular to society. And as I mentioned just now, we are introducing this view that is important, I think, for Uzbekistan, this acting as public diplomacy better towards partner and third countries, promoting EU values and enhancing visibility of the European Union for what it stands and for what it wants to achieve. Now I will go to introduce the actions, the little different actions that we are promoting. And I talk of them as a kind of progression. I like to speak of progression. Generally, we start by presenting modules. Why modules? Because modules are short teaching programs on European integration studies. They are taught at higher education institutions. This can be or multidisciplinary, and they may call upon the support of other academics. And not just a single expert. It could be one or various professors and experts joining together to present and to offer a module. Then in our scale, the next important stage would be a chair. What are chairs? Well, chairs are teaching posts with a specialization in European integration studies, and it's for university professors. Attention, very, very important, they must be held only by one professor. So a professor will be title holder of your chair. And of course, that does not prevent them from having support from other academics, but the focus, the emphasis is on the main professor. And on our scale of progression, our the last action is the Center of Excellence. Centers of Excellence are focal points of competence and knowledge in the European Union. And the aim of these centers should be to gather expertise and competences of high-level experts, aiming to develop synergies between different disciplines and researchers on EU studies, and also they should seek to develop transnational activities. Again, very important, this is important also for the chairs, but particularly for Centers of Excellence, they should widen the outreach. It should try to reach out to people like students from our faculties who don't have contact with European integration studies, policymakers, civil servants, any other public that can be interested in European integration studies. Now, if we go more into the details, so very important for Jean Monnet. We are with your one single grants for one higher education institution. So just there are no partners. There's just one applicant from an institution presenting. The timing for all of them is 3 years, maximum 3 years actions. Duration is 3 years in total. And then you can see also, when I was speaking of progression, we also have a progression in terms of funding. So modules are 30,000, chairs 50,000, centers for excellence 100,000. This is for the 3 years of the timing. The cost types, we have slightly changed this with respect to the last call. I'm going to talk about it just now. So in the case of modules and chairs, we are speaking about fixed lump sums. And in the case of centers of excellence, we are speaking about customized lump sums. In the cases of module, some important requirements to keep in mind. For modules, we need 40 teaching hours minimum in order to apply. And of course, they must be taught at the applicant higher education institutions. At least those 40 hours must be taught at the applicant institutions. When we speak of teaching hours, it must be direct contact hours. They cannot be individual tutorials or supervision. They can be in type of summer courses, or they can also be distance learning, especially in this time of COVID. It's very useful to know. In the case of chairs, it is important that the chair is a permanent member of staff of the applicant institution, ranked as professor. And he or she must teach at least 90 hours per academic year. There can be more hours presented, but the professor who is the title holder must at least do 90 of the teaching hours per academic year. Again, direct contact hours, no individual tutorials. So this is what I mentioned earlier. And yes, of course, you can have additional hours taught by other members of staff outside the 90 minimum teaching hours. As for the Center of Excellence requirements, which are important to have in mind, you can only have one Center of Excellence in a higher education institution. So if you have two different faculties applying from the same university, we will only take in consideration, both, we will evaluate both, or if there are more than two or three, but we will only select one per academic institution. And ideally, of course, they should become structured centers, providing a youth-specific knowledge, high-level knowledge on new integration studies. So this is the basic requirement. And of course, as I said, these 3 actions are open to the entire world. So if you come across if you're looking through the program guide and you come across this Jean Monnet in other fields of education training, please do not pay attention to this. Very, very important. You are not eligible to apply. So I put this slide only to remind you, you are not eligible for this second set of actions. So let us go now to the financial mechanisms and financial aspects. So under the new 2021-2027 programming period, the focus is going to be on outputs rather than inputs. So what we are really worried about is the quality and the level of achievement of measurable objectives. So we are less interested how you're spending the money. We are more interested in how you're going to achieve your objectives. I would actually, since we are speaking about a new way of the financial mechanisms, are lump sums. Some of you are used to working with these lump sums, especially for modules and chairs. In the case of modular chairs, still a lump sum system, but it has changed. I would invite every one of you, if you're planning to apply, to look at this reference video prepared by our colleagues in the European Commission. It is very well explained, and you will go through the simple processes of how these financial mechanisms now work. So I'm not going to explain everything, but please, everyone, if you have an occasion and you want to apply, before you do, just look at this video. So let us go a bit onto the details of how these fixed lump sums calculated. So the call text includes a number of tables, and they display the total lump sums for every country or for different countries. And these in turn correspond to a number of teaching hours. So when applicants do the request in their application, they will see that there are predefined amounts for the single lump sums and according to the number of teaching hours that they want to make. This is all set out in the tables that are published, so it's very, very easy to do. And once you have looked at the table and you have checked the number of teaching hours, you will have information on about what is your eligible EU contribution. What will be the eligible funding that you can receive. This is what it would, call, if anyone has had time to look at the program, but this is what it looks like. You see the countries. These are two examples. On the left is for someone applying for a module in a program country. On the right, there is an example for a chair from a partner country. And you can see on the left-hand side the number of teaching hours. On the right-hand side, you can see the countries. And then you can see the amounts going out. So it's quite simple to apply. Really, really simple financial mechanism and very easy to do in your application. What sort of costs are covered? Actually, this hasn't changed from the past. You can cover under your grant staff, travel, subsistence, equipment, subcontracting, and other types of activities. For example, translation that could be important to you, or issues for dissemination of information, publications, translation, etc. Regarding the Center of Excellence, this is a bit more different. Now here, what you need to do, the core rules are that you need to go for an amount, you have an amount of single lump sum contribution determined for each single grant. But this is based on the estimated budget that you as applicant are proposing. So you are going to make a proposal and it will be the granting authority that will be fixing the lump sum per grant. So we will do an evaluation that is going to be based on the proposal that you're going to make. It will be based on the evaluation results of your proposal, on the funding rates, and also on the maximum grant amount set in the call. So just to bear out a few aspects, the budget that you present must be detailed, and they are going to be presented in kind of work packages. So when you're going to be speaking about activities, you will be looking at each work package in detail. So we will need to be looking for details for each work package in every different aspects that you're going to be covering in your applications. So you will need to present a breakdown of estimated costs showing the share of the work package. And of course, the typology of cost, as I mentioned earlier, is exactly the same as for chairs and module. These are the different costs that can be covered. So this is a bit new for everyone. It's even new for us, actually. So we do have we're looking at a slightly different system, but we think that with this new system, it's going to be much easier to apply and to manage your budget once you have received your grant. Okay, let's go to something less dry now. These budget issues are always complicated to understand, but of course you will have the slides and you will have the call, so you will be able to look at it with your own ease. I would like to show you, nevertheless, now something more interesting, which is a bit of a few statistics. They are not very positive for Uzbekistan's. Out of the 47 projects submitted between 2014 and 2020, only 3 projects were selected, which might be discouraging for some people. But I would invite our potential beneficiaries not to get discouraged and to try it all the same. And one possible reason, maybe some people will ask that question, why is the rate so low? Unlike other programs like capacity building or Erasmus Mundus, when you are applying, remember that you are competing on the same footing with any other European country. So that makes it a lot more difficult to obtain granting. Obtain a grant. These are some, actually, they are not very well, they are representative, of course, but it just shows that one module was selected, and you see a bit the rates. It's interesting, for example, that in the end, for 34 modules presented, only 1 was selected, or for 6 chair presented, there was only 1 selected. Sorry, excuse me, I jumped one. Okay. And again, Center of Excellence, actually 1 out of 2 presented, 1 selected. Okay, so this is a bit overall view. And maybe this is a lot more, bit more interesting as statistic data, because it is interesting to see that, of course, modules are the easier grants to apply for, but they are probably the most difficult to attain. Only 18% success rate. So you can see here on the right the success rate. So maybe chairs are a bit easier to apply. So if you are a Jamonais professor, if you are specializing or expert in European integration studies, you might like to try for a chair. That's maybe you have a better chance with respect to modules. But anyway, obviously networks, support to association, this data is not important for a call now, but of course we have the overall view. The overall success rate, anyway, interesting, is 25%, okay, 1 in 4 more or less. Talking about the projects, sorry, 1 second, I'm going to just close because I don't see very much. Apologies. Oh, that's better. Okay, there's a bit of light. So we have 3 Uzbek projects. I'm not going to explain them one by one, but I'm going to show you that they exist and we have them. We're very happy with them. I'm not going to try to read out the name of the institution because I'm probably going to say it wrong. But we have actually a Uzbek module, and we have actually a chair, a Jamonais chair, which is not easy to have in a country like Uzbekistan. So congratulations for that, because it requires a real high level of expertise of European integration study. And this same university has actually got a Center of Excellence. And we are really, really happy for this. This is very good news to have a Center of Excellence in Uzbekistan on Jamonais. It is actually from the same person, from the same professor who has a chair, okay? So I'm not going to read it out. This you can see later in the slides when you have them. Let's go to an aspect that might be important. It regards how we select our projects. Now, colleagues in Erasmus Mundus referred to this also in their presentation, and this is the same across all our projects. We have to retain and keep in mind that there is always, for every selection, for every program, we need to keep very in mind a selection criteria. So please make sure that your organization or institution meets the requirements to participate in the selection action. So you have an exclusion criteria, an eligibility criteria, and a work criteria, and a final evaluation. This is the way it runs. But of course, if you know that you cannot apply, just don't do it. I mean, just make sure that you fulfill these criteria before you can apply in order to be able to be eligible, to be able to be selected for one of our actions. It goes without saying, but we get still applications that are excluded at the first stage because they don't have the requirements to apply. Let us go forward. The work criteria, very important. Remember always that when you're applying, you have independent experts. Ghislaine explained this very well for Erasmus Mundus. You have experts, external experts that are going to be looking at your application. When they look at your application, you're going to be looking at the 4 different aspects, and they are all equally weighted. So you have relevance, and this is the extent to which your proposal meets the Jamonais objectives and reaches the priority target groups. Then we look at the quality and design and implementation of the project proposed. So do you have a sound methodology approach? Is it coherent? It has novelty? Is it feasible? Have you put in place the monitoring mechanism necessary to implement your project? These are things that we look into. Then you have the quality of partnership and cooperation arrangements, level of competence, added value of applicants, the team that is making up that is being presented. Are they competent in European integration studies? Are you presenting a partnership with someone else? Even if in Jamonais there are mono grants, not mono beneficiary grants, but still you can still have people supporting or people from other universities, other people involved, stakeholders. So how solid it is in your presentation, very important for centers of excellence. And of course, we have the impact. Impact is very important. What is the expected impact on the target audience, on the host, on the partners, on the stakeholders? Is your action sustainable? What are the dissemination and communication measures? So all of this builds up an important picture. There is a minimum threshold needed to be selected, and to require this minimum threshold to start with, you should also have a minimal, reach the minimal threshold in each one of these award criteria. So please, when you are filling out your application, take into account each one of these aspects. Each one of them is important. Each one of them has the same weight. So don't disregard them when you're trying to make an application. Look at them, read the instructions in the application form, and make sure that you answer to all the questions, all the aspects that I've mentioned under the different award criteria. So I've said it, just read the call very carefully, and especially it goes without saying, do not leave blank any parts of your application. Many applicants make this mistake. They just leave blank parts of the applications. Looks very bad, even if you think it's not important. Everything that is in the form is important, so fill it in. So let's go to some final tips. I've already started making some recommendations about tips. Be coherent. When you're making an application, you need to be coherent. Avoid contradictions, cut and paste style applications. You cannot imagine how many cut and paste applications we receive, especially if you are an institution and you apply for 4 different grants and they all have the same style. You might find it, the expert will probably see it very quickly. Be concrete, use examples, justify anything that you say, justify it. Provide evidence is necessary. Of course, be clear, read the questions carefully in the application package, provide information in the correct order as indicated in the application form. Don't change the application form. Just remember that the experts have got maybe 500 applications or 600 applications. Well, actually, even more. We are talking about maybe 1,000 a year for Jamone, more than 1,000, 1,200 this last year. So just make it easy for the expert who's reading your application. Make sure that that the form is presented in the way it was done and in the right order. The same goes for being realistic. Of course, the expert is going to evaluate what you are presenting, make sure that what you are presenting makes sense. And make sure that you are going to be able to deliver what you are actually presenting and what you're applying for. So remain focused, concrete. Make sure also that you meet the eligibility criteria. Make sure that you have followed instructions and that you follow and that you have the mandatory requirements. And of course, keep it simple if you can. I mean, if you're drafting English in particular, make use of short sentences. If you want to vary them, okay, but please remain focused within the subject. So these are actually, I always like to include this slide because I know that most of you are experts in presenting projects, but these are just some issues that increase your chances of being selected. So just keep these very, very simple rules in mind when you're applying for one of our actions, and not only for our actions or any action in any program. So just to wrap it up a bit, to construct a successful Jamone bid, make sure that, very important, there is a EU angle. This is the #1 priority. If there is no EU angle, is there not evidence in your proposal, don't apply, because this is a European integration studies action. So if you don't have an EU angle in your application, do not apply. All combined elements should lead you to a concrete and sustainable results, and should make sure that this is going to go to the benefit of the project stakeholders and partners, associates, etc., or final public also. Make sure when you're doing your application that is properly consensuated by your team members, but also by your institutions. So if you're presenting an application, it must be consensuated. You must have also the support of your managers, of your rector, or whoever is the legal representative and management team. And be sure that when you have applied, you are ready to start as soon as the bid is over and you have been informed that you can start your project. So don't wait until we inform you that you were granted an application to start looking at all the administrative processes, make sure that you're ready to start whenever you can. And finally, I'm going to my last part of the presentation. This is, some of you already are already familiar to the participant portal because we've been working over the last few years. What is important to retain now is that we are actually operating on e-grants. So I would invite everyone to get familiarized with e-grants and with the portal, the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal, where you can see all the steps that you need to do in order to apply, where you will find all the reference documents, where you will get information, important information as to what makes you, how do you need to create a PIC. You find everything on the participant portal. You can also look at projects and results. Everything is available through the participant portal. And I would also invite, this is particularly important for us in the Jamariof team at the agency. Would you like to become an expert? Would you like to evaluate for us? Make sure to look at the opportunities also in the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal. So no longer on the EASA website, everything is now available. Everything is now found on the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal. Indeed, some people are writing to us these days saying, I cannot find this link, I can't find the other link. Our website has changed to adapt to the e-grants. So please just go to the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal. You will find all the information there. And finally, I'm coming to the end now, a roadmap. Adrian Bill has explained, and I've said it earlier, how things have, our rolling calendar has really been modified this year. So unfortunately, the call has just, end of March, has just been published for Jean Monnet. The deadline for submission of applications is the 6th of June. By the way, just to mention to you all that although the call has been published, the forms that need to be submitted are about to be published. So for the moment you have the information, but the application forms should be, it's a matter of hours, if not few days, but you will have all the elements to be able to apply very, very soon. But as soon as you have them, you have until the 6th of June to apply. Again, everything has been changed. So the evaluation period, generally we publish the results in July. Unfortunately, now the evaluation period will take place actually throughout the summer, which is particularly difficult for Jean Monnet staff. We expect to publish the results around September. And the rest doesn't change. We always have 5 months to notify results. We have 6 months to make the preparation of contracts. So that hasn't changed. And that legal deadlines haven't changed. What has changed is the timing with respect to other years. So for this first call of Jean Monnet for teacher and training activities, the call is open now and you can start applying very, very soon. Finally, I always put a list of links where you can find all the information. You don't need to copy any of this, of course. You're going to have it available in the presentation that will be made available to you. And that is all from my side. I look forward to a lot of Uzbek applicants applying this year, and as I'm the program manager for this country, I will be the person answering to your questions. You can always write an email to me or to the functional box of Jean Monnet, and I will try to help you as I can. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Aziza, and that's the end of my presentations. I'm open to questions.
Thank you very much, Victoria, for such a comprehensive information that you shared with us, and with the detailed advices, recommendation, how to develop good project proposal. I think that so far we have not had such access to such a presentation. So we did it on our own, and we really appreciate that project officer responsible for Central Asia have managed to share with us her presentation. Very much thank you. And now we would like to open the session on questions and answers. We are grateful for the Adrian, he's still with us, but I don't, so we will keep him to answer the question on general Erasmus Plus program, and specifically we will be grateful. Adriana is here, thank you. Gislan, Victoria and Adrian. First of all, we would like to propose the meeting participants to raise their hand if they would like to ask question directly. And then the NEO team members will communicate questions collected from the chat box. Do we have any people who would like to ask the questions? Please raise the hand. You have these two in the list of participants. Okay, we would like to proceed with the questions collected from the chat box. Please, Kudratхон, if you have. You can read and interpreter will make translated it into English.
Rahmat, demak bir nechta savollar kelgan. Birinchisini o'qiyman. Rus tilida ekan. Может ли Генеральная прокуратура принять участие в Jamariof activities и Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degrees в плане обучения своего персонала? Bu birinchi savol. Va ikkinchi savol, при подаче заявления требуется ли письменное согласие европейского партнера о готовности реализации предложенных узбекской стороной в заявлении мероприятий?
I will answer for Jamariof. I'm afraid that I don't think a prosecutor's office can apply for Jamariof. It's higher education institutions. It is very clear. It could have been possible for the other action, the second action I mentioned, that will be available in the future. Even for training purposes, they can get training through the universities if they, if they want to participate in any Jamariof modules or any actions run by the Center of Excellence, but directly as a prosecutor's office, no, it is not possible, not for Jamariof.
Thank you very much for your answer. So actually, the participants, they registered via EU delegation. So the EU delegation is very active in the field of judicial reform in Uzbekistan. That's why they're keeping the close contacts with the prosecutor's office. The next question, please, Kudratхон.
Demak, bizda yana bitta savol bor. Bu yerda bu savol ham rus tilida, demak o'qib beraman. Какие страны из Европы будут предпочтительнее в Erasmus Mundus Design Measure проекте из стран из Восточной Европы или из Западной Европы degan savol bor ekan.
Adrian, would you like to reply?
Yes. If Shislene isn't there, you will see that the design measures have been introduced as a way of helping a curriculum project take the necessary steps to become a full joint degree project. So it's, if you like, lowering the threshold a bit. And one of the reasons for introducing these design measures is because we realized that is a barrier to universities taking part on the one hand. But that barrier also reflects the sort of geographic participation in Erasmus Mundus. Within Europe, we're also trying to level up quality levels and we're an important objective of the new Erasmus Plus program is to make it more inclusive. And that doesn't only mean individual students, it also means institutions. We want to enable more institutions to benefit from the program. So it's a long way of explaining the fact that we want to have, from Europe, we want to have more countries involved that have not been so well represented up to now. And that basically means, yes, Central and Eastern Europe. If you look at the participation of European countries in Erasmus Mundus up to now, it has been very focused on Western Europe, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, UK in the past, and we want to see, we want these design measures to try and help those Eastern European countries take part as well. You will find very soon, if not already, a list of the countries that have taken part in Erasmus Mundus over the years, the European countries, so that you can, you can double check that. So obviously, a proposal that involves countries from Central and Eastern Europe will stand more chance of being accepted than one that has, for example, France, Netherlands, and Germany.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Adrian. I think we are very lucky to have you on board today because you provided such a comprehensive and detailed answer. I think that the National Impact Study of Erasmus Plus Capacity Building Action, they can also have some detailed statistics on representation of the European countries in both in ICM, in capacity building actions. And I fully agree with you that we should extend the representation of EU member states and program countries in our projects in the future. Thank you very much. And the next question, please, Qudrat Khan.
Katta rahmat. Keyingi savol demak Toshkent davlat sharqshunoslik universitetidan ekan. Rus tilida demak o'qib beraman. Кто будет контактным лицом в Ташкенте и кому можно будет дополнительно обращаться для уточнения деталей при подаче заявки? Demak, bu magistratura masalasi bo'yicha bo'lsa kerak. Yana mahalliy kontakt nuqtasi kim bo'ladi degan savolni beribdilar.
Okay, let me answer to this question. So actually, we, the National Erasmus Plus Office and the team of higher education reform experts are the focal point for all information, advices, consultations to be provided. And unfortunately, now we are still on remote distance working. Only Qudrat Khan, you can see him on the screen, is working in the office, and the female part are with the children at home. But it's easily and it's well organized to have the bilateral Zoom meeting for each project team. So not for individuals on the future project, but preferably the team for Jean Monnet, for Erasmus Mundus, who can suggest us to have the bilateral meeting via Zoom to have more detailed discussions on the future project proposal. In case if we are not answering, so we are not able to answer, we can communicate to Brussels this question and to get the answer directly. But you can also communicate your questions directly to functional mailbox, as you see from the presentation made today. Any other additions from your side? Adrian, Victoria? I think the most appropriate way is to consider the National Erasmus Plus Office for any further consultations. And in case we are not able, we will definitely to obtain the answer from Brussels. Thank you very much.
Annette,
Yes, please.
Aziza, for Jamonet, the way we operate, if you are a project applicant and you would like to apply for Jamonet Action, of course, we are a very small team in Brussels, but obviously, if you have problems in understanding any of the information that appears in the call, or you're having technical problems or something like that, you can contact us directly through the Jamonet functional mailbox, or for more specific questions on your applications, you can contact me directly. But please make sure that we cannot give you advice on how to draft an application. That is out of the question. We can answer any doubts and anything that is not clear on the application test or on the forms that are published.
Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe. Yes, thank you very much, Victoria. Maybe this is the good opportunity to remind you that we have already organized 2 sessions, detailed session with the experts from Russian Federation. They are very experienced in Jean Monnet projects, and they shared their practical recommendations how to develop the good project proposals. The sessions are available on our YouTube channel as well. So you can find the link on the website of the National Erasmus Plus office. Okay, the next question, please.
Katta rahmat. Demak, keyingi savol bizda Vazirlar Mahkamasi huzuridagi ta'lim sifatini nazorat qilish davlat inspeksiyasidan ekan. Savol shunday yozilgan. Ushbu loyihalarda ta'lim inspeksiyasi ham alohida loyiha taqdim etishi mumkinmi?
For Jamonet, I answer again, and it's the same answer. In order to apply eligibility criteria institution, and you are not recognized by your national authorities as a higher education institution, you can do the present. This is just for Jamonet. I'm not sure if Adrian can answer for Erasmus Mundus.
Yes, for Erasmus Mundus, to be an applicant or a full partner in an Erasmus Mundus project, you would have to be a higher education institution. This said, there is a role that can be played by non-academic partners in the joint masters. We attach great importance to that, to the link that non-academic partners, businesses, administrations, NGOs, the link that they have to the course of the program that is being taught. Sometimes they can be actually involved in teaching or in providing traineeships for students. So it's possible to take part in a project that's relevant to that. If it's a project, for example, about education studies, but you would, within Erasmus Mundus, you would have to be involved with a consortium that includes higher education institutions as the main partners. It might also be something to consider for a capacity building project as well, that is looking at maybe more the reform aspect of education, and that will come online later in the year, where you could play a role with other universities and perhaps other administrations involved in education policy and practice.
Thank you very much, Adrian, for your answer. Actually, this State Inspectorate is already involved in one of the capacity building projects, and they organize jointly with us several seminars supporting the national team of higher education experts, in particular related to the technical assistant mission on joint degrees, joint master degrees organized with the Annika Sangebald from Finland. So it was very useful. And the State Inspectorate is very welcomed. And I would like to communicate the information to the potential capacity building action participants from the universities. Please consider the non-academic partners, the businesses, the local communities, the ministries as a project consortium members with a specific role, with a specific contribution to the future project proposal. Thank you very much. And the next, please, question.
Katta rahmat. Demak, bizda keyingi savol ingliz tilida. Ya'ni Erasmus Mundus Design Measures bo'yicha va bunga Ghislaine javob berdilar chatda. Va undan keyingi savolimiz, where can we see examples of selected projects for Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters to get some inspiration from them? Yes.
Sorry. Hello.
Sorry.
Oh, you can do it. Like.
Yeah, you go ahead, Ghislaine.
All right. Examples. Well, you can go to the catalog. It's like for EMGM. Well, there are none because it's new. Joint Masters. It's built on the EMGMD. So if you go to the catalog, you can see and select, for example, the thematic fields that you are looking for, and see the composition of the consortium, which is based the same as now. You have to have 3 partners, 2 of which have to be program institutions, and then you build on it. So you can get inspiration there. Would this answer your question? Hello?
Thank you very much, Ghislaine. Sorry, my mic was switched off. I think that your answer is the giving in proper way. So the catalog is the main source.
Yes, the main source is all the running projects. These are all the running. So currently, so you can see, you can go to their websites and you can see how they built it and what they did. And this is a good basis to form. And just the new rules are a little bit different than the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master degrees, but it gives you more freedom here. So there's a little bit more freedom in the new program.
Okay, thank you again. And just taking this opportunity, I would like to remind the participants about the very reliable and very good source of information about Erasmus Plus activities. It's Project Results Platform, which also is the good source for the finding the partners, for the looking for the appropriate European partners and the partners from other regions. So for future capacity building project for ICM. And the next question, please, we can proceed.
Demak, bizda hozir Timur Do'stjonov qo'llarini ko'taryapti, savol berishga. Marhamat, eshitamiz. Mikrofoningizni yoqib gapirishingiz mumkin.
Thank you. Timur Do'stjonov from Urgench branch of Tashkent Medical Academy. Is my voice hearing? Thank you. I have a question because our higher educational institution is medically oriented, and our students are becoming doctors. So I have a question about the joint degree projects, and is there any additional requirements as our students are involved in patient care? Thank you.
Maybe we need to clarify your question again. Please repeat your question concerning. Are you asking question about the individual participation, so about the student who would like to benefit of the existing?
About both, because we are interested in joint educational programs with involvement of joint degrees, and because of our students are becoming physicians, so they are involved in patient care. So it will be great if they will participate in patient care in European countries.
If you're talking, do you want to take this lead, Adrian, or?
Well, I think it's just an opportunity to say that this is one area where it's a good example. We want to see a strong link in the employability towards the employability for graduates. So this is a little bit what the innovative nature of an Erasmus Mundus program should be. It should be about developing a skills set in the graduates, not necessarily, you know, a strictly delineated classic academic skill set, but you know, a practical skill set that graduates then can go out and play a role in society. So, you know, healthcare, patient care could be one of those. There is an existing master's degree on nursing care, for example, and I believe that attaches great importance to these, you know, on-ward experience traineeships as part of the, you know, alongside the academic subjects that they learn.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adrian, for your clarifications. Actually, I would like to suggest the Tashkent, the Urgench branch of the Tashkent Medical Academy to apply, first of all, to try for the international credit mobility action, which will be announced later this year, as Adrian said. And I think this is the good start. But by any case, you can apply directly and to contact this project, Erasmus Mundus joint master degree that Adrian referred to, nursing. And what is important to underline again, that the international credit mobility provides a good option for the traineeship. And we have already such a good examples from the medical institutes, the medical students who already benefited of international credit mobility, being in the European hospitals for the practical training. Thank you. Next question, please.
Rahmat. Demek Telegram'dan yana bir savol kelibdi. İngliz tilida o'qib beraman. Who develops national priorities for Uzbekistan? Can we ask to insert some important aspects are important?
You need to repeat the questions. There was interruption.
Who develops national priorities for Uzbekistan? Can we ask to insert important aspects which are important for the country?
Adrian, would you like to answer, or me?
Yeah, perhaps I could hand that over to you, Aziza, because yes, projects have to demonstrate a relevance, you know, relevance for the education sector, but also relevance for the countries that they are going to operate in. So perhaps, Aziza, you could say a little about how Uzbek projects tackle that.
Thank you very much. Actually, if the question is related to the future capacity building actions to be open call later this year, we would like to communicate this later on, so with the more details. In the past, the national priorities, they were defined jointly in cooperation with the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education and with the support of EU delegation. How it will be organized this round, we are still, we don't know. But what is important for you if you would like to apply for the capacity building actions in the future, to consider what kind of projects have been already financed. We have the list of the national priorities indicating with the acronyms, project acronyms. So you can realize which national priorities for capacity building have been properly, substantially covered, and which areas are not explored at all. So what I would like to encourage, we need more innovative projects. We would like to have more areas, quite new areas for Uzbekistan, but again, with the reference to the national priorities and the developments of the national economy. In this case, it's better to communicate also with the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education. But I think we can keep this question pending until the next call for capacity building announcement. Marhamat Kudratxon, next question, please.
Hozircha boshqa savollar yo'q. Kutib qolamiz.
From Abror Jurayev, there was.
Mana hozir bir kishi savol bo'lsa, marhamat, mikrofon.
Can I have a small question about Janmanet? So we have a case. I mean, we had a case in 2019. We applied to Janmanet with 2 projects. One project gets 87 points, and second one got 85 points. The same project we applied in 2019 with some upgrades, but the same project got 62 and 61. I was wondering what could be reason in order to take into mind when I apply next year. Just for clarification, this question.
Okay.
Because the results, when I receive results, the same, the remarks was the same. Thank you.
Victoria, please.
Yes, I can answer that question. I'm not very sure if from the order in which you said it, which was the one you got a better result than the other one. I hope that the better results was in the second round. But what you need to keep in mind is that when we do the evaluation of our projects, when we make the selection, the same projects are not assigned to the same experts. So it means that there's always a level of course, experts can have their own way of evaluating. And obviously, if you don't have the same project evaluated by the same person, you will have different sets of comments. But actually, we are working at the moment on the comments, for example, for modules, so that we will have a standard set of comments for, at least for Jamanet modules in the future, in order to avoid all sorts of confusion or misinterpretations. So we are working on that now. But keep in mind always that there's always different people reading your applications. Also, the level of funding can change according to the application year. So maybe you have a very, very good project and you don't get selected with 87, which is really bad. And maybe the year before you would have got selected. So each application, each selection is a world of its own. All I can say that if you got such high scores, I would really support you to, I would really encourage you to apply again, because it means that you're in the right track. So apply again. That's all I can say. But I cannot guarantee who's going to read your application. It might be a person completely different from the one who read your application the previous selection round.
Thank you very much, Victoria, for your detailed answer. I think that the people, we need to encourage those who have already submitted their applications, even twice, to apply this time again. It's again the personal assessment by the individual experts. I fully agree with you. But Nabijon, I think you will not be discouraged, but you should apply again, please.
Yeah, I will try.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Kudratxon, Gula, do we?
Yo'q, bizda savollar
YouTube'da?
YouTube'da ham yo'q, YouTube'da ham kuzatib turibmiz.
Savol so'rasam maylimi?
Thank you. Sorry?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
My name is Obijon. I'm from the University of Geological Sciences, which is newly established university. Thank you very much for organizers and the presenters. It was very beneficial. So I have a question regarding the applications to Jean Monnet. It's new for me. That is why maybe I need to look for more detailed information. But you said that in our applications, we should focus more on EU angle, or European studies should be there. My question is that as we are in natural sciences, can we still apply, for example, by pointing out the integration of geological sciences in Europe or something like that? Thank you very much.
Well, to answer that question, I will tell you a small anecdote that happened to me many years ago. I had someone from an anthropology faculty calling me and saying, we come from anthropology faculty of whatever place, and we want to apply. Can we apply for Jean Monnet? And my answer was actually no. I didn't say no, but I said it's difficult to apply because how do you put anthropology into the European integration perspective? I could not see how this could be done. But I said, look, do not get discouraged. If you can introduce one way or the other. And by the way, in your question, you mentioned the word Europe. Europe is one thing and the European Union is another. So if you want to present something about geology and comparative studies with what you do in Europe, that's not it. I mean, it's European integration studies. So that's why when I did my presentation, I presented what we mean by European integration studies. So the answer is, well, nothing is impossible. By the way, this applicant who made this application got one of the highest scores in that applicant round. So I was very surprised and I was very happy for this person. But maybe you want to introduce European integration studies in your faculty, or European integration studies regards a lot of policy areas. We have even a center of excellence in Slovakia on veterinary studies. So nothing is impossible if you want to introduce European integration studies to your students and you want to run a European integration studies, which in one way or the other, for example, touches upon geology. I don't know the connection because I'm not in the area at all. But if one way or the other, you can find that connection and you can prove it, it's not enough to have it in the title. You can have geology and the European Union. That's all very nice. The content has to have be really focused on European integration studies one way or the other. So the answer is, it is possible, it's not impossible, but you will really need to study how do you do it, because coming from your faculty, it's not that easy.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Victoria, I think that the question was quite relevant and quite oftenly asked by other universities in Uzbekistan. And your answer was just in the right time and in the right way to explain. Thank you very much. And just to maybe as a follow-up, the Geological University, the University of Geological Sciences has been cooperating with the University of Pisa. So you can ask some advice from this university how to proceed with the Jean Monnet. They are very active and they have experience. I think that the examples that Victoria presented on the Tashkent University of Economics, they also got this grant thanks to the cooperation with the Vienna University in Austria. that the applicant should be just one university, but it's not. So you can apply also with your partners who can advise you, who can provide you practical help how to develop the project proposal.
Thank you for the information.
Yes. Do we have any other? No. I think that now we should thanks all our speakers today. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Gislan. Thank you, your stagiaires, your colleagues at the executive agency who helped us very much. Unfortunately, Adrian has left, but he's always a very, very kindly cooperative with the Central Asia, with Uzbekistan. And this is just demonstrated the contacts and social networks of National Erasmus Plus office in Uzbekistan. We are always in your disposal, and we are committed to organize bilateral consultations, bilateral meetings with the project teams, not individuals, who would like to apply for Jean Monnet. And again, I would like to repeat that initiated can be by one person, by individual, but the project should be based on the teamwork, on the support of the administration of the university. So contact us, and we are always ready to organize the meeting online to provide you with the more details and examples and relevant references to publication and sources. Thank you very much to our team, to higher education reform experts, to interpreters, to Rustam Jond and Ulugh, who helped us to organize this session and provide proper relevant information immediately to the project, but to the meeting participants. I think that for one of the future events related to Erasmus Mundus, we would be pleased to welcome Victoria, Gislan, and any executive agency representative for the offline meeting, offline conference in Uzbekistan. Thank you once again. Have a nice day. And thank you for the active participants from our university community in Uzbekistan.
Thank you from Brussels also. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Azza rahmat katta.
So, Bolin.